One of the biggest mistakes smart people make in a conversation is finishing their own argument. They make the point, then they explain the point, then they prove the point, then they summarize the point, and then, just to make absolutely sure everyone understands, they explain it one more time. Feels persuasive, but very often it has the opposite effect, because every additional sentence gives the other person another opportunity to resist you. Here's the strange part. Sometimes the most persuasive thing you can do is stop before you reach the conclusion. Let the other person finish the argument for you. Think about what happens when someone feels like they're being persuaded. Their brain changes. They stop simply listening to your idea and start evaluating your motives. Why are you pushing this so hard? Why are you leaving out? Or what are you leaving out? Why do you need me to agree? And the harder you push forward or toward the conclusion, the more likely they are to start defending themselves against it, even if your argument is good. This is why people sometimes reject perfectly reasonable ideas simply because they feel they are being pushed toward them. So instead of dragging someone all the way to the conclusion, try giving them the pieces and letting them assemble it themselves. For example, imagine someone proposes a project that clearly cannot be completed on schedule. The normal response is, we can't do this in 2 weeks. We don't have enough people. The scope is too large. The deadline is just unrealistic. Now you have created an argument, and the person can push back. Well, we'll work harder. We'll bring in more people. We've done difficult things before. Now both sides are defending positions, but consider a different approach. You say, we have 4 people available. They agree. The project normally requires around 6 weeks. They agree. And none of the other projects are being paused. Again, they agree. Then you ask, so what would have to change for us to deliver this in 2 weeks? Now something interesting happens. They have to confront the contradiction themselves. You didn't tell them the deadline was impossible. You gave them the information necessary to reach that conclusion. And conclusions people reach themselves are often much harder for them to argue against. The same thing happens in negotiations. Suppose someone makes you an offer that simply doesn't make financial sense. You could say, that price is too low. And now you are negotiating against each other. Or you could say, and that price, our cost is here, our margin becomes this, and the risk remains entirely on our side. Then ask, what would make that arrangement workable for both of us? You haven't surrendered your position. You've made them participate in discovering the problem. This is a very different psychological experience. And this principle becomes even more important when the issue is emotionally charged. If you tell someone directly, you're contradicting yourself. Their first instinct may be to defend themselves. But if you calmly put their 2 statements next to each other and ask, how do these 2 ideas fit together? You have changed the conversation. Now they're examining the contradiction instead of defending themselves against an accusation. This is not about being persuasive. It's not about being passive. And it is not about manipulating people with clever questions. It's about understanding that persuasion does not require you to carry the entire argument. Sometimes your job is simply to create enough clarity that the other person can see what you see. There's another advantage to stopping early. You learn something. If you state the conclusion, the other person can simply accept it or reject it. But if you ask them to complete the reasoning, you discover how they actually think. Maybe they see something you missed. Maybe they have information you don't. Maybe the conclusion you thought was obvious isn't actually obvious at all. That's useful because strong communication is not about forcing someone toward your answer. It's about creating a conversation in which the answer becomes difficult to avoid. So the next time you're making an argument and you feel the urge to explain just one more point, don't. Give the person the evidence Give them the contradiction, give them the question, and then stop talking. Because sometimes the most powerful conclusion in a conversation is the one you never say. It's the one they say to themselves.